At 5 in the Michael Jackson wrongful death trial, a doctor who treated Jackson in the past talks about the pop star's use of a potentially dangerous painkiller. Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez was in court when the doctor's video deposition was played for the jury.
It was the collapse of this stage bridge in 1999 that injured Michael Jackson's back, according to a doctor who treated him for pain 2 years later. In the video shown in court, Jackson keeps singing as if nothing had happened, but that's not what Jackson told Dr. William Van Valin.
And it fell. The platform went out, it just boom, and he rolled right down into the orchestra pit. And he said, I hurt my back.
In a video deposition, Van Valin testified Jackson's injury was real. For a year, he made house calls to Neverland to give him injections of the painkiller Demerol in growing amounts. But doubts began to build. Van Valin suspected Jackson was getting Demerol from someone else at the same time, Jackson appearing high.
It was a bit scary, I didn't know. I sat there with it until it went away,
One day, the doctor saw a Band-Aid on Jackson covering a needle mark.
I said, Michael, I said, you have another doctor that gave you a shot. And I said, you realize what risk you put yourself and me at by doing that? Who came and gave you a shot? Oh, I didn't. It was not a shot, but it was. He was lying.
Another incident that disturbed Van Valin. He says at Neverland, Jackson showed him a box of the anesthetic propofol, which he said he used to sleep while on tour. The substance ultimately caused Jackson's death. Katherine Jackson blames Jackson's tour promoter, AEG, for allegedly hiring Dr. Conrad Murray, who was attending the star when he died. AEG says Jackson's habit with meds began decades before. The defense team shows a pattern of Jackson befriending multiple doctors at the same time, giving each the same impression that Van Valin had.
In my opinion, and I think in Michael's too, we were best friends, I didn't have a better friend, and I don't think he did, The
defense says they may complete their case by the middle of next week. The plaintiffs are told to be ready with their rebuttal case. Miriam Hernandez, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
This afternoon, we're seeing more video depositions in the Jackson wrongful death trial. As CBS 2's Randy Page reports, jurors heard from one of Jackson's former doctors who testified about his need for painkillers and the lengths he would go to get them.
Throughout the civil trial, attorneys for AEG have characterized Michael Jackson as a public figure who treasured his privacy, particularly when it came to his medical care. That Jackson was addicted to prescription medications, that he would make personal friendships with doctors, then convince them to prescribe powerful painkillers without letting them know other doctors were giving him the same drugs, and that Jackson had a particular interest in propofol, the anesthetic that killed him. Today, lawyers for AEG showed jurors this video deposition of a doctor from the Santa Ynez Valley as evidence for each of these contentions.
We were best friends.
Dr. William Van Valin testified he and Jackson became friends while he was treating Jackson for pain relief in the early 2000s. He went on to say he gave Jackson Demerol on 9 occasions between 2001 and 2002, and one time, he said, was particularly troubling.
I gave him a shot, and afterwards, I noticed that he had his T-shirt on. There's a little blood spot on it, and I lifted it up, and there's a little Band-Aid over it. And I said, Michael, I said, you have another doctor that gave you a shot.
Van Valin also testified Michael Jackson told him he liked to use propofol, also known as Diprivan, to get to sleep.
He had a box of it in his room, and he said, now this is the stuff, Diprivan. He said, I used to use this between shows on my world tours.
Van Valin testified he told Jackson propofol should only be administered by an anesthesiologist in a hospital setting, but Jackson assured him it was safe. Jackson family attorneys point out Dr. Van Valin also testified he was not willing to provide Michael Jackson with propofol for sleep. In fact, they say only one doctor in the United States was willing to cross that line, the doctor with whom AEG negotiated a contract to care for Michael Jackson. His name, Conrad Murray. In downtown Los Angeles, Randy Page, CBS 2 News.